let us consider the protection for our overseas Filipino workers or OFWs. In 2021, Republic Act 11641 was enacted. And there was a 2-year transition period. So, it took effect in 2023. Secretary Ople was appointed. Unfortunately, she died. At may bago na ngayong, meron na bang appointed? Parang OIC pa rin. I do not know. Okay. So, the Department of Migrant Workers is now the agency or the department, cabinet, that will take charge of everything about OFWs. Now, hindi ay inabsorb nito yung POEA, so abolish na yung POEA, Philippine Overseas Employment Administration, and all other agencies in connection with OFWs hiring and placement. Now, Republic Act 10,801 was earlier enacted. That's a charter of the OWA. So, kaya yung OWA hindi na-abolish. It's still an existing agency but attached now to the DMW. It's now the DMW that issues a license for individuals or entity to operate a private recruitment or manning agency. Wala na ditong konsepto ng authority, ano? Now, I have to make a clarification na kapag ka ang recruitment and placement of workers ay for abroad, DMW. Kasi meron din naman tayong local recruitment and placement, that's for the Secretary of Labor, Department of Labor and Employment. Now, if you have a license, you can operate a recruitment agency. Ang recruitment agency po ay those in charge in the recruitment and placement of land-based OFWs. Pagka seafarers, manning agency. Pero kailangan ng lisensya. Now, what do we mean by recruitment and placement? You go to Article 13B. Lahat ng ito ay acts of recruitment and placement. If they are undertaken with license, people with license, entities with license, legal recruitment. If there is no license or authority under the labor code, yan po ay illegal recruitment. Now, even if may lisensya o may authority, yet he or she committed any of the prohibited activities under Article 34, that still constitutes illegal recruitment, and the penalties are in Article 39, but amended twice already. It has been amended by Republic Act 8042 and thereafter by Republic Act 10,022. So, there are two kinds of illegal recruitment. Simple illegal recruitment, diba, na 1:1, 2:2, 1:2. Kasi, pag more than that, papasok na yung paragraph B ng Article 38, which is involving economic sabotage. So, under 38B of the Labor Code, it's either, economic sabotage is either syndicated or large scale. Pag sinabi nating syndicated, 3 or more persons perpetuated the illegal recruitment activity by conspiring or confederating with one another. So those are the operative words: conspiracy and or confederation. Pag wala yan, edi hindi syndicated. That was also the ruling of the court. Si Justice Hernando ang sumulat niyan. 3 or more persons conspiring or confederating with one another. Diba? Now, pag large scale naman, you look at the number of victims. 3 or more. Okay? And they committed this, they were recruited either individually or as a group. Maliwanag? That was also the ruling in People versus Coaching. Ito yung mga elemento. Nag-undertake ng illegal recruitment activity pero walang lisensya, at committed the same against 3 or more persons individually or as a group. So meaning, hindi lang by group, kundi pwedeng isa-isa. Now, if the illegal recruiter asks for money, placement fee, at illegal naman pala siya, you can file 2 cases separately. And they can be convicted separately. For violation of Republic Act 8042 and the Labor Code, illegal recruitment. For asking for money without delivering the promise, so there was deceit, yan po ay estafa under Article 315 of the Revised Penal Code, and the court said there is no double jeopardy. Kasi violation of two different laws ito eh. Diba? Now, as I already told you earlier, ang OFW ay magpa-file ng money claims pag nagkaroon ng premature termination of their contract of employment. Kaya tawag pre-termination. Okay? It's now under the jurisdiction of the labor arbiter. The arbiter is mandated to decide within 90 calendar days from the filing of the complaint. So, mabilis yan. Kaysa dun sa local employment. Now, ito yung basehan ng kanyang claim. Reimbursement of the placement fee plus 12% interest per annum on the placement fee and the salary for the unexpired portion of the employment contract, period. Kasi yung for 3 years or whichever is less is declared unconstitutional. Okay? Now, ibinalik ito ng 10,022 but then again, Aldovino versus Golden Green, idiniklara na unconstitutional na nga yan because it violates due process and deprives the overseas workers of their claim without any discernible valid purpose. Bakit kailangan yung whichever is less? Diba? Unfavorable yun sa employees eh. Mahabang story niyan, but we do not have time for that. But suffice it to say na unconstitutional yun, kaya ang money claims niya limited doon sa reimbursement of the placement fee plus 12% interest per annum plus the salary for the unexpired portion of the contract. Period na doon. Now, bakit 12% interest? Eh, sinabi ko na sa inyo kanina, SRL versus Yarza, yung 12% kasi sinabi ito ng batas. Republic Act 8042. Yung Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas nag-issue ng Circular 799, ginawang 6%. Would that amend the law? Of course not. Only Congress can amend the law. Okay, so 12% pa rin tayo. Now, kapag ka OFW, mga injuries, sagot dapat yan ng employer. But here comes an OFW during vacant time, nag-basketball. Okay? Na-injure. Pinauwi, ayaw bigyan ng compensation. Sabi ng Korte Suprema, ay yung basketball niya naman ay employer sanctioned eh. Kahit na hindi siya nagtatrabaho dahil naglalaro ka ng basketball, hindi naman siguro niya sasaktan yung kanyang sarili intentionally. Diba? So therefore, yung injury niya ay worthy of compensation. So kaya kung ako yung ship owner, hindi ko nakipaglalaro ng basketball, mag-chess na lang kayo. Why? Because even OFWs enjoy the right to security of tenure as already mentioned earlier. Diba? And how long should an employee be working per day? 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. With the exception of health personnel. Of course, we are talking of private hospital, clinic, health personnel. We're not talking of government health personnel. Ano? So, 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. Pag health personnel, kaya lang may qualification, they are in a municipality or city with at least 1 million population, or yung hospital where they are employed with at least 100 bed capacity. Or yan at in the end. Ang trabaho nila, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. If they are made to work on the 6th day, they should be given additional 30% on the 6th day, and we call that premium pay. The normal hours of work under Article 83 ay 8 hours a day. If an employee is made to work beyond 8 hours, entitled siya sa 25% ng kanyang hourly rate. Kasi hindi ka naman nag-o-overtime ng 8 hours uli. So, ang 25% on ordinary day, dadagdagan mo yung per hour rate niya. So, kung 8 hours siya, walang dagdag yun. Regular work niya yun eh. Nagtrabaho siya ng extra 1 hour. Yung 1 hour, yun ang dadagdagan mo ng overtime pay. Now, if it is not an ordinary day, meaning rest day, special holiday, or regular holiday, nagtrabaho siya, abay may dagdag siyang 30% overtime pay dun sa kanyang overtime work kung ilang oras man yan. Okay? Now, do not confuse overtime pay with premium pay. Because premium pay is paid additionally on the 8 hours. Like, nagtrabaho siya during rest day. O, hindi siya dapat nagtatrabaho, di ba? Under Article 91, in relation to Article 93, ay babayaran mo siya doon sa kanya 100% plus premium pay of either 30% or 50%. But remember, in overtime, the burden rests on the employee, not the employer. Diba? Kaya si employer, hindi pwedeng pilitin ng employee na mag-overtime kung ayaw niya, except under Article 89. These are the conditions in which the employer may compel the employee to work overtime. Okay? Now, ang mga OFW, ang mga seamen ba? Seamen, are they entitled to receive overtime pay? If they can prove that they work beyond 8 hours. Eh, sabi nga natin, even if they are working abroad, they are covered by our labor laws. So, 8 hours pa rin. Pag nagtrabaho ka and you can prove it, beyond 8 hours, you are entitled to overtime pay. Eh, sabi ng isang seaman, entitled ako because I am on board the vessel 24/7. Eh, 8 oras lang naman nagtatrabaho per day. Abay, lugin-lugin naman dyan si shipping company. Diba? O kaya, hindi porke on board the vessel ka, you're entitled an overtime pay. You have to prove that you work overtime. Otherwise, kung ako yung ship owner, eh pag dating ng 8 oras, patatalunin na kita sa dagat, babalikan lang kita bukas. Anyway, seaman ka naman, di ba? O, taon dagat, yun ba yun? Okay. Do not offset of undertime with overtime. Okay? Kasi, prohibition yan under Article 88. Bakit? Well, the logic is, mas malaki yung bayad sa overtime rate kaysa dun sa undertime. Ang undertime kasi, 100% lang. Yung overtime, may additional either 30% or 25% depending on the day. Now, overtime must be consensual. If the employer cannot force the employee to work overtime except Article 89 situations, neither could the employee compel the employer to give him or her overtime work. Dapat pinagkakasunduan yan. Okay? Bawal yung pipilitin kasi masasaktan ka lang talaga eh. Now, under Article 91, even God rested on the 7th day. So, after 6 consecutive days of work, an employee is entitled to not less than 24 consecutive hours of rest. Diba? So, 1 day rest day. Now, when is the rest day? You agree kung kailan nyo gusto ang rest day, taking into account the religious preference of the individual. Diba? Kasi may mga relihiyon na may particular day of worship na hindi sila po pwede magtrabaho. Give it to them as the rest day. At tayo sa mga saksi ni Duca, hindi pa tayo nagkakasundo kung anong araw ang rest day natin. Kasi hanggang linggo nagtatrabaho ako eh. Okay? Now, if the employee works on a rest day, huwag nyo nang ilagay yung Sunday kasi hindi naman automatic na pag Sunday, rest day. Wala na yung ganun eh. Pag hindi siya nagtrabaho, no work, no pay. If the employee works, he gets additional 30%. So, 130% siya. Under Article 93, Paragraph A. Now, under Article 93, Paragraph C, if the employee works on a day that is a special non-working holiday and at the same time, rest day. Example, November 1, special non-working holiday. Nataon na Friday. Yung pala i-rest day niya ang Friday. Pag di siya nagtrabaho, no work, no pay. But if he works, he gets 50% additional. Ano yung 50%? Yan po ang premium pay na tinatawag dun sa 8 hours pa lamang. Why? Eh, dalawang okasyon eh. Dapat nga 60, di ba? Pero sabi ng labor code, 50% lang. Now, rest day niya, special holiday pa, nagtrabaho pa siya. So, 150% siya. Magkano ang hourly rate niya? 150%. Matindi pang ngangailangan. Nag-overtime pa. Ay, dadagdagan natin ng 30% yung 150% na hourly rate niya. O, yung mga magaling sa math, alam nyo yan. Yung katulad ko, hindi masyado magaling sa math, naku, isiping mabuti. Hindi naman kayo pag-compute, don't worry. Okay? Now, ano ba talaga ang kaibahan ng special holiday sa regular holiday? Nakakalito na. Alam niyo, buong sambayan na naman, nalilito dyan. Ang buong mundo, ang tingin sa Pilipinas, ito yung bansa na napakaraming holiday. Sa ibang bansa, hindi ganyan karami ang holiday nila over the years or during the year. Tayo, dalawa pang kategorya ng holidays natin. Special holidays. Yung special holiday, may dalawa pang kategorya yan Working at saka non-working. Yung mga pinsan natin sa Iglesia ni Cristo no Saturday, di ba? Special working holiday. Bakit? July 27 ay 110th founding anniversary ng mga pinsan natin sa Iglesia ni Cristo. Bakit pinsan? Nadoktrinahan po ako pero hindi ako nabautismuhan. Kaya pag tinatanong, kapatid ka ba? Hindi, pinsan lang. Okay. So, special working holiday, pag umabsent ka, wala kang bayad. Pag pumasok ka, wala lang. Pero pag special non-working holiday under the law, pag hindi ka pumasok, walang sweldo. Pag pumasok ka, meron kang additional 30% and we call that premium pay. Under Republic Act 9492, ito yung mga special non-working holidays. Hindi ko na kailangang basahin sa inyo yan. Alam nyo na yan. Nasa po yung November 2, wala dyan, mamaya na. For the Catholics, meron pong Immaculate Conception Day. Republic Act 10966, that's December 8. Diba? Yan. At saka sana hindi natin minamak yung mga religion, Katulad nung ginawa nung opening ceremony dun sa Olympic sa Paris. Halatang halata naman na mockery of the Last Supper, etc. Ay, nako. Anyway, Christianity is founded on love. Love your enemies. Diba? So, ang presidente pwede pang magdeklara under the law ng mga special non-working holidays. Chinese New Year, EDSA. Nako. Pagpasensyahan nyo ng presidente kung hindi niya i-declare ang holiday yung February 25. Bakit? Ikaw ba naman, yung pamilya mo, pinaalis sa Malacanang noong 1986, February 25. Would you still want to commemorate that day? Diba? Tao lang ang presidente, unawain nyo na lang. Black Saturday, ito yung matapos ang Biyernes Santo. All Souls Day, yan yung November 2. November 1 lang ang special holiday dyan, pero dinideklara din ng Pangulo yan. December 24. Now, take note, pag walang deklarasyon dito ang Pangulo, hindi holiday yan. Kailangan yung deklarasyon ng Malacanang. Now, anong kaibahan nito sa regular holiday? I-memorize ninyo itong mga regular holidays. Pag wala dito, special holiday yan. And in fact, if I may add, kahit yung mga local government units, may mga dinideklara silang special non-working holiday na doon lang sa kanila. So pag doon ka nagtatrabaho, saka ka lang apektado. Pero kung di ka doon nagtatrabaho, doon ka nakatira, hindi ka kasali. Diba? Okay. So, anong rule natin sa special non-working holiday? If you do not work, you don't get paid. If you work, you get paid plus premium pay. Either 30%, 93 paragraph A, or 50%, 93 paragraph C. Now, ang regular holiday, you don't work, you get paid 100%. Di ba mas maganda yung regular? Kaya pag sinabing special ka, mura lang yan. Pag regular, yun ang mahal. Di ba? And if you work, you get 200%. Bakit? 100 for your work, 100 for the holiday pay. So, i-memorize ang mga regular holidays. Ayan, di ko nang babanggitin lahat kasi kulang oras natin. Di ba? Now, may karagdagan pa yan. Yung National Heroes Day, last Sunday of August, pero siyempre, Monday dinideklara kasi maraming ang tao, walang trabaho na Sunday. Pero may mga nagtatrabaho ng Sunday, hindi naman bawal yon. Wala na tayong Blue Sunday law. For the Muslim kababayan natin, mga kaibigan nating Muslims, meron silang Eid al-Fitr at Eid al-Adha. These are now regular holidays under two laws. Bonifacio Day, of course, Rizal Day. Kamatayan ni Rizal yan. Yung Bonifacio Day, birthday ni Andres yan. Kaya hindi dapat yan binumove. And the day designated for the holding of a general election ay regular holiday because it is under Article 94. Kaya lang alam niyo, napapansin ko dyan, ang Department of Labor, dinideklara palagi na special non-working holiday ang election katulad ng barangay election nakaraan. Alam niyo, that's wrong. Kasi pag special non-working holiday, premium pay lang pag nagtrabaho ka. Pag hindi ka nagtrabaho, hindi ka babayaran Whereas, statutory construction would tell you, saan ba nakakategorya itong election day? Article 94, paragraph C, the list of regular holidays. Kaya lang, hindi na napapansin naman yan kasi ang mga employers naman, either company policy or CBA, na kahit hindi ka magtrabaho on election day, bayad ka. Kaya lang, it will matter, di ba? So, dapat i-clarify yan. Now, ito na ang pala, so tandaan dito mga regular holidays na ito, ha? Pag wala dyan, hindi yan regular holiday. Unless the law would again say, regular holiday ito. Yan ang epekto niyan sa labor. No. Now, minsan, itong Good Friday or Monday, Thursday, these are Catholic holidays na ayaw ni President Erap, di ba? Eh, sabi niya, ang tawag dyan, nagsisimula yan sa Domingo de Ramos. Natatapos, Sabado de Gloria. Wala namang Joseph, no? Okay. So, anong nangyari? Natatapat minsan na araw ng kagitingan, which is April 9. Nung bata pa kami, ang April 9, the fall of Bataan. Kaya lang ngayon, marami ng papol, hindi ba? Kaya sino ba ang magiting dyan? Yung napol o yung papol? Okay? Diba na mahulog ka sa kanal, wag lang sa isang tao na hindi naman ikaw ang mahal. Okay. So, anong mangyayari kapag ka isang araw, dalawa ang regular holidays? Katulad noong 2020, hindi lang ito masyadong naramdaman kasi naka-lockdown tayo noong April 2020. April 9, na taon ng Monday, Thursday, or Good Friday, noong 2020, Good Friday. If the employee does not work, he gets 200%. Okay? One for each holiday. It does not follow, maraming makukulit na lecturers, it does not follow that if the employee works 400%, siya kawawa naman si employer. Para wala ng problema, huwag mo lang pagtrabahuhin para 200 lang. But assuming may importanteng gagawin, pinagtrabaho, doble ba yung trabaho niya? According to the Department of Labor 2023 handbook, issued by Department of Labor Bureau of Working Conditions, 300% lang ang ini-insist kasi ng ibang lecturers. Alam ko, narinig nyo na rin yan. 400% daw kasi in case of doubt, interpret in favor of labor. Wala nga pong doubt. You only interpret the doubt in favor of labor if there is doubt. But if there is no doubt, do not interpret in anyone's favor. While labor laws are intended to protect the workers, they do not operate to oppress or destroy capital. May karapatan din ng mga kapitalista. Do not get me wrong, hindi tayo pro-kapitalista. Doon lang tayo sa tama. Kasi ganito, if the employee does not work on one regular holiday, 100. If he works, 200. Bakit? One for the holiday, one for his work. Now, 2 regular holidays, hindi siya nagtrabaho, 200 kasi 100 for each holiday. Nagtrabaho siya, doble ba yung trabaho niya? Be reasonable on the part of the employer. Kasi lugi ang employer niya. Kaya maraming employers, hindi nila pinagtatrabaho kasi kung wala naman talagang gagawin. Di ba? Pero 300 lang yan because it's not 2 times 2. It's 1 plus 1 plus 1. So 300. Anong doubt doon? Gusto yung basahin? You read that case of Nippon Paints Philippines versus Nippon Paints Philippines Employees Association. And the employer can institute a policy na dapat present ang employee the day before the holiday or the day after the holiday. Okay? Kasi, pag hindi siya present, nag-absent siya, at hindi naman siya absent with pay, Okay, naka-leave with pay, absent lang talaga, ubos na yung mga leave niya, wala siyang bayad sa holiday. Kasi absent siya before, unless pumasok siya during the regular holiday. That does not apply to special non-working holiday. Sa regular holiday lang yan. Now, pwede rin naman policy ng employer o dapat present ka the day after the holiday. Kasi pag absent ka the day after the holiday, ay hindi kita babayaran ng holiday pay unless nagtrabaho ka nung holiday mismo. Now, the employer cannot institute a policy na dapat required present ang employee before and after the holiday. Mamili ka lang or at hindi and. Maliwanag. Now, holiday, regular holiday, hindi nagtrabaho, 100%. Nagtrabaho, 200%. Isang holiday lang The problem was, araw ng kagitingan, pumatak na Friday. Friday pala ang kanyang rest day. Pag di siya nagtrabaho, araw ng kagitingan, regular holiday yan, 100%. Rest day niya rin. Nagtrabaho siya, 200%. Paano naman yung rest day niya? Bayaran pa rin siya doon ng 30%. 30% of the 200%. Yun yung kanyang premium pay for working on a regular holiday that happens to be the employee's rest day. Yan ang sabi dyan sa Nippon Paints Philippines case in 2021. Liwanag tayo, Alam mo, simple lang naman ang labor law. Kailangan lang unawain at huwag nagpapaniwala sa mga sabi-sabi. Kasi marami po ang mga hearsay. So, alam mo yung solusyon? You read the caudal, you read the law, you read the jurisprudence. Hala, ang dami naman babasahin. Ganun talaga eh. The secret for success in law school or even in the bar is your willingness to read and with understanding. Hindi kailangan napakatalino mo para pumasa ka sa bar eh. You just need to understand. At para maintindihan, basahin ng paulit-ulit. Pag hindi naintindihan, humanap ng mga mapagtatanungan na tama ang sasabihin. Punta kayo dun sa CD Ducalo YouTube channel. Tama naman mga sinasabi natin dyan. Okay? Now, every employee who has served the employer at least 1 year, whether continuous or broken, that means 12 months, ay entitled sa 5-day service incentive leave. The Labor Code does not provide for sick leave, vacation leave, bereavement leave, or even broken-hearted leave. But the Labor Code provided for service incentive leave pag naka-1 taong ka na. The employer may give more than that. Because in private sector employment, as I love to say, the law only provides for the minimum, that is to empower the employer and the employee to enter into bargaining, to improve the terms and conditions of employment. Unlike in the government, you cannot bargain with the law anymore because the law already provided for the maximum. Katulad ng salary standardization law, di ba? Maximum na yan, hindi ka na pwede mag-bargain dyan. So you can only negotiate the negotiables. Pero yung nasa batas na, hindi na pwede nating i-negotiate. But in private sector, you can bargain. Okay? Ngayon, nag-bargain kayo. Binigyan ka ng 10 days sick leave. Okay? O, kailangan po mong bigyan ka ng 5-day service incentive leave. Hindi na. Pero dapat i-convert yung hindi mo nagamit. At least 5 days. Pag hindi kinonvert, violation yan. Why? You're entitled to such conversion. Because that's what the law provides. O, sabi ni employer, 15 days sick leave, no conversion. Ay, hindi pwede yan. At least 5 days should be converted pag hindi nagamit. Now, para dun sa mga restaurants and other establishments, diba, nag-charge yan, ang tawag service charge. Oh. Dati, yung 15% ng nakolektang service charge over the month ay share ni employer. 85% lang sa mga employees. Ngayon, under the new law, Republic Act 11360, ang lahat na nakolektang service charge will go to the employees. Ang employer walang share. Ang mga managerial employees walang share. Now, if the service charge collection is discontinued, the employer has to give that share, idadagdag sa sweldo. It becomes integrated into the salary. Hindi ibig sabihin na ititigil, ibibigay pa rin. Kasalanan ng employer, tinigil niya. Now, all the benefits under the Labor Code or even special law are computed on the basis of basic salary. What is the basic salary? That is your salary minus other benefits like allowances, commission, etc. So, in the computation of 13th month pay and all other benefits including retirement pay, yung basic salary. Kaya nga, maganda ang ginagawa ng Regional Wage Board na ang increase sa minimum wage, integrated yung COLA. Kasi pag hindi in-integrate yung cost of living allowance, isa-separate, pag kinumpute yung benepisyo ng employee, hindi kasama yung allowance. Kasi basic salary lang. Now, there are instances that the employer may provide for supplement. Ay, hindi po ito ina-advertise na hindi po ito gamot, hindi maaaring gamitin pang gamot sa anumang uri ng sakit. Pagkatapos, hindi na, katakot-takot na pangako, yung pala, wala namang gamot, di ba? Oh. Supplements are small benefits provided by the employer based on the generosity probably of the employer. Therefore, they're not deducted from the wages. What could be deducted from the wages are the facilities, the amount of facilities. What are facilities? These are items of expense necessary for the laborer or his family's existence. Like, ano ba ito? Yung tirahan nila, yung dormitory o kaya apartment. O, provide ni employer, pwedeng i-deduct yan sa sweldo ng employee. But not the tools of the trade. Ano yon? Taxi driver. O, yung amount ng taxi binabawa sa sweldo mo. Hindi pwede. Hindi ka makapag-maging taxi driver kung wala kang taxi na binigay ng employer. Pero hindi sa'yo yan. Ibabalik mo yan. Diba? Now, this can be deducted. The amount can be deducted from the salary of the employees. Provided, ito po ay, teka sandali there must be proof that it is being provided really by the employer by the nature of the business or trade of the employer. The employee has to accept that voluntarily and in writing. So, kayo may kontrata. And they are charged at fair and reasonable value. Okay? At pwede nang i-deduct doon sa wages niya kung na-comply ito. Ngayon, kung hindi na-comply yan, bawal naman ang deduction. Because under Article 113 of the Labor Code, no deductions can be made from the salary of the employee unless it is mandated by law or there is consent. Kaya nga yung union membership fee, di ba? Pag member ka ng union, ang employer may agreement with the union sa CBA na mayroong deduction. And you call that check-off. That's the process. Oh, may consent ka doon. Individual written consent yan eh. Because under Article 113, bawal ang deduction ng walang consent of the employee. Okay? Oh. Ngayon, yung mga hindi miyembro ng union but they benefit from the CBA, abay magbabayad sila ng agency fee. Because para may iwasan yung free riders o mga hitchhikers, di ba? Ayan. Okay. O, ngayon, puntahan natin. Article 100, bawal yung diminution. Diminution is decreasing the benefit. Now, the employer, ito, kung titingnan niyo yung Article 100, applicable ito dun sa benefits already provided prior to the implementation of the Labor Code. Kaya lang, by virtue of a company practice, at na-establish ito that it has been the benefit has been customarily provided by the employer cannot withhold that anymore without the consent of the employee. So unilateral withholding hindi pwede. Okay? Now, the company practice favorable to the employee at na-establish and na-ripen to a company practice, hindi pwedeng withhold, hindi pwedeng alisin. Now, ito yung computation kasi ng 13th month pay, remember, under Presidential Decree 851, the computation of the 13th month pay ay yung basic salary lang. Hindi kasama yung allowances. So, over time, ang ginagawa nitong employer na ito, kino-compute niya yung 13th month pay kasama yung mga allowances at commission. Then later on, gusto niyang tanggalin at basic salary na lang. Ay, hindi pumayag ang Korte Suprema kasi it will result daw into diminution of benefits. Now, how do we know that the practice or the benefit has ripened to a company practice? In that case of Philippine Journalist versus De Guzman, ang sabi dyan, wala namang sinabi ang jurisprudence as to the minimum number of years within which the company practice must be exercised para maging voluntary company practice. It can be 6 years, 3 years, or even 2 years. Diba? But, paano natin malalaman? To be considered a regular company practice, the employee must prove by substantial evidence that the giving of the benefit is done over a long period of time. Yun na nga ang problema natin. 2 years is a short period of time, pero pwede na siya na mag-ripen to a company practice. Because the common denominator daw in previously decided cases appears to be the regularity and deliberateness of the grant of the benefit over a significant period of time. So, titingnan mo, ito ba, nagkamali lang? Kahit nga nagkamali dun sa civil trading, sabi, it has ripened to a company practice, so hindi na po pwedeng tanggalin. Now, yung Presidential Decree 851, ito po ang basehan ng pagbibigay ng 13th month pay. Okay? So, 12 months divided by 12. Ngayon, yan yung 13th month pay kasi ang in effect, kung consistent yung sweldo mo, magiging 13th month talaga. Unlike in the government, di ba, may mid-year bonus, may year-end bonus. Now, ang 13th month pay, pag binigay na ni employer, hindi na siya required na magbigay ng Christmas bonus. On the other hand, kung nagbibigay na siya ng Christmas bonus, hindi na siya required magbigay ng 13th month pay provided the amount of the Christmas bonus is equivalent to or even greater than the computed 13th month pay. Kailan ba ito binibigay? Not later than December 24 every year. Okay? Pwede rin namang hatiin. One, at the opening of classes. Kaya lang, pa iba-ibang opening ng classes natin ngayon. No? And then the other half, ay bibigay before December 24. On or before December 24. Now, the employers can be exempted from paying 13th month pay kung sila po ay tinatawag na employer in distress, but they have to request the secretary to be exempted from paying 13th month pay. If an employee retires, if the employee resigns within the year, yung kanyang income for that period, let's say, after 3 months nag-resign siya, entitled siya sa proportionate 13th month pay. Yung 3 months income niya divided by 12, the quotient would be the 13th month pay. Okay? Now, puntahan natin yung job contracting. Job contracting at labor-only contracting ay existing, but job contracting is allowed. How do we know that there is job contracting? Ang presumption that every contractor is presumed to be a labor-only contractor, which is prohibited under the law. But that presumption can be overcome by presenting proof, as in the case of ram-roll garments, at saka dun sa implementing rules, that the contractor carries on a distinct and independent business, separate and distinct from the principal. And the principal is not involved in the manner and method or supervision, except as to the result. Halimbawa, ang maganda example nito, yung hotel needed the services of security guards. The hotel will not hire an in-house security guard. Kukuha siya ng contractor. Kaya lang ang tawag natin dito sa Pilipinas ay security agency. So magkapareho ba sila ng negosyo? Magkaiba eh. Di ba? So kaya pasok dun sa number 1 requirement under the existing rules and regulation supported by jurisprudence. Now, there are independent contractors. What are independent contractors? They have their own talent. They offer their services to the employer. The employer does not control them except as to the result. So, individual ito, kaya independent contractor ang tawag. Pero doon sa kasong Parahelo versus GMA Network, ang mga cameramen and other staff are not independent contractor. May control ang network. So, ang independent contractor ay ito, yung mga broadcaster, yung mga journalist. Because if the television or radio station can dictate on the television host, mga newscaster, what they say in their show, that's not conducive to press freedom. So, walang control. Ganon din naman yung mga newspaper columnist ay independent contractors. Kasi walang control kung ano sasabihin sa column nila. Ay kaya lang, nadidemanda ng libel kasama yung editor, di ba, pati yung publisher. Pero yun ang sabi ng korte, di ba? Orozco versus Court of Appeals, 2008 pa yan. Now, pangalawang requirement, the contractor, job contractor, para maging job contractor siya, ay may substantial capital or investment. Okay, may investment siya. Hindi lamang ito pera. Kasama dyan ang mga machineries, office equipment. But the total investment or capital must not be lower than 5 million pesos for corporation or partnership. 5 million paid up capital, hindi subscribe. You know the distinction. Pag single proprietorship, 5 million pesos net worth. Okay? So pag meron siya niyan, ayos na. But there's a third requirement. The agreement, yung kontrata between the hotel, in our example, and the security agency, guarantees occupational safety and health standard. Nasa kontrata. Free exercise to the right to self-organization. Okay? Kaya lang yung right to self-organization ay against the agency at hindi doon sa hotel. Kasi yung hotel, hindi yun ang kanyang employer. Ang employer niya, yung hotel. At yung kanyang right to security of tenure ay doon sa contractor at hindi doon sa principal. Ang principal yung hotel eh. Okay? O, dito nagkakaguluhan sa bayanan sa kontraktualisasyon. Ito, legal po ito, provided the job contractor is a legitimate job contractor at nag-comply doon sa mga requirements ng batas. Kasi pag hindi siya nag-comply, ihulugan niya rin yung SSS niyan, PhilHealth at yung walang kamatayang pag-ibig, ang presumption sa kanya, siya ay labor contractor, labor-only contractor, and that is illegal. That's prohibited. Okay? And according to that same case of Allied Bank versus Kalumpang, all contractors are presumed labor-only contractors unless they can overcome the presumption by presenting proof that they have complied with the requirements of the law. Now, labor-only contracting is prohibited. But the problem with our laws is that we do not have a penalty for those who are engaged or found to have engaged in labor-only contracting. What is the only penalty? The only penalty is that the workers they supplied to the principal, as in our example, the security guard supplied to the hotel shall become employees of the hotel, the principal. That's the only penalty. Oh, pero yung labor-only contractor, anong penalty? Wala. Okay? So, hindi yan yung ENDO na tinatawag. Ang ENDO, tulad nung sinabi ko sa inyo kanina, 4 months contract. After 4 months, end of contract, o ENDO na siya. Diba? So, anong gagawin natin? My suggestion earlier, and until now, is to amend Article 296. Make it illegal for any employer to give an employment contract less than 6 months. Kasi yung 6 months, probationary period, pag maganda ang performance mo, there's a probability that you will become a regular employee because you finished the probationary period of employment. Okay? Pinangako ito ng Duterte administration na tatapusin daw ang contractualisasyon. As to what kind of contractualization, it was not mentioned. Kasi may mga legal na contractor, hindi natin dapat alisin yan. Di ba? Oh. Kaya lang, alam nyo, dyan sa job contracting na yan, mas kumikita dyan yung contractor. Eh. Kasi, yung binayad ng principal, doon sa kontrata, hindi naman yun yung actual na ibabayad ni contractor. Eh. Siyempre, negosyo yan. So, kikita siya. Eh, bakit kasi ayaw mag-direct hiring nitong mga kumpanya? Eh, kasi nga, mahirap magtanggal pag regular employee yan. Oh. Hindi dito na contemplate yung contractualisasyon na bibigyan ka ng 4 months contract, after that, tapos na. And then, para ma-address ito, dahil yan ang pangako sa kampanya, do not take my words for that, Congress enacted a bill sent to Malacanang na ang tawag ay Right to Security of Tenure Bill. When it reached Malacanang during the latter days of Duterte administration, it was vetoed by the President, 2019. Bakit? Kasi daw it will destroy the balance between capital and labor. What kind of balance are we talking about here? At ang sabi ng Korte Suprema, wala tayong magagawa, fixed term yung kontrata nyo. Okay? And then, here comes the National Wages and Productivity Commission. That's the appellate body of the decision of the Regional Wage Board. Every region has a wage board. And the wage board is the one that issues the wage order. And the effect of the issuance of a wage order is to increase the rate of the minimum wage. Okay, increase yung minimum wage. It will not increase the salary of anyone earning above the minimum. Diba? Now, for the wage order to be issued, it should be once in 12 months. Unless there are supervening conditions, like extraordinary increase in the prices of petroleum products. Pag nagmahal ang gasolina, nagmamahal lahat. Kaya kung wala nagmamahal sa inyo, pumunta kayo sa gasolinahan sa Martes. Panigurado, may magmamahal dyan. Hindi ko lang alam kung magugustuhan nyo. Kaya namimiss ko yung Duterte administration. Bakit? Lahat ngayon nagmamahal. Nung panahon ng Presidente Duterte, at least may nagmumura kahit isa, hindi ba? Oh. Saan mo i-apila ang wage order pag ayaw mo? I-apila mo sa National Wages and Productivity Commission within 10 days from the date of publication kasi mag-take effect yan within 15 days. Now, kahit naman hindi kayo mag-apila, ang National Productivity Commission, Wages and Productivity Commission, under Public Act 6727, can review the issuance of the wage order. Now, the employer who does not want to comply, could you go to the regional trial court and ask for an injunction? Sorry, no. There is a prohibition against injunction that the regular court cannot intervene and issue an injunction to stop the implementation of a wage order. Kaya lang, ang problema natin, ang wage order po, mag-i-increase lang ng sweldo ng minimum wage. So if you are earning above the minimum, you do not get an increase. And that will result in wage distortion. That is a situation in which the increase in the prescribed wage rate, hindi pa sinabing minimum wage will result in the elimination or severe contraction of intentional quantitative differences in wages and salary rate, pareho din naman yan, among employees. Ngayon, anong example niyan? Let's say, for example, very quickly, employee A ay minimum wage earner, 530. Employee B, 548. So, 18 pesos difference. Kasi nakakalimang taon na itong si employee B. Sample lang naman yan. Employee C, 570. Baka supervisory na ito. Sip-sip na kay boss yan. Hindi, joke lang. At si employee D, managerial, 600. Intentional yan. Maybe because of seniority, because of performance, and other considerations. Nag-issue ng wage order ang wage board. Every region has a wage board. Increasing the minimum wage by 17. So, naging 547. Teka muna. Si employee B, walang increase. Hindi across the board yan, sabi ng Korte Suprema That's the effect of a wage order increase. Kaya ako, alam nyo, I've been representing laborers, unions for a long period of time, pero hindi ako masyadong pabor, personal lang naman ito, I'm not so much in favor of increasing the minimum wage. Kasi, yung mga kapitalista, yung mga negosyante, pag nag-increase ka ng minimum wage, yung ibabayad dun sa increase, kukunin sa produkto nila So, tataas ang presyo. Everybody will be affected. Whereas, ang nag-increase lang yung minimum wage earner. So, dapat ang increase across the board para everybody naman ay makinabang. Kaya nga, yung wage distortion na yan, nangyayari. So, 547. 548, papayag ba si employee B? It's not elimination, but it is severe contraction. Nag-contract ng todo of the intentional wage distinction. So, may wage distortion ka. There is severe contraction So, how do you correct wage distortion? It is corrected depending on the industry. If it is organized, there is a union, there is a collective bargaining agreement, you do it through the grievance machinery and voluntary arbitration. Kung ano ang award ni voluntary arbitrator, yan susundin natin. Where do you appeal? The award of the voluntary arbitrator. You call that arbitral award. You appeal that to the Court of Appeals using Rule 43. But first, you file a motion for reconsideration within 10 calendar days under Article 276. And then you go to the Court of Appeals upon denial of your motion for reconsideration within 15 calendar days following Section 4 of Rule 43. Huwag mong gagamitin yung Rule 65 kasi may Rule 43 ka From there, punta ka sa Court of Appeals, Rule 43, talo, Supreme Court, Rule 45. But only on pure questions of law. Now, what if there is no union at walang, natural, pag walang union, walang CBA, so walang grievance machinery. The employer and the employees shall endeavor to correct the distortion, sabi ng Article 124 ng Labor Code. But if they cannot correct the distortion, they can ask for the assistance of the NCMB. And the National Conciliation Mediation Board must assist them in resolving it within 10 calendar days. Hindi na-resolve sa 10 calendar days, the NCMB is not an award-giving body. So, anong gagawin mo? You have to go to the labor arbiter of the NLRC. Bakit labor arbiter? Kasi appropriate branch Pag branch ng NLRC, arbiter yan. Pag commission, yun ang NLRC. Para saan? For compulsory arbitration. Okay? Take note na lahat ng mga labor standards benefits, ang regulatory body ay ang regional director. Okay? So, under Article 128, nag-file ka ng, ito, pwedeng motu proprio yan. Kaya kahit walang complainant, mag-i-inspect sila. Okay? So, inisyon ka ng inspection or compliance order, pag-inspection, mag-i-inspect yan. You have to appeal. Either you comply para matapos na, or you file an appeal. Okay? Tapos, pag nag-file ka ng appeal, saan ka mag-a-appeal Secretary of Labor. Unless it is a contested case. Contested cases are those under Article 128B. Ano yun? Inisyon ka ng inspection order, sabi mo, it cannot be resolved by simple procedure. We have to have a hearing para mag-present kami ng evidentiary evidence, whether it is object or evidence or document or whatever. So, ang gagawin ng regional director, i-refer ito kay arbiter for hearing. Contested case yan. But assuming it is not a contested case, you go to the Secretary of Labor on appeal. Dininay ni Secretary, 10 calendar days lang yan. You file a motion for reconsideration. Dininay yung motion for reconsideration, go to the Court of Appeals, use Rule 65, you have 60 calendar days to do that. Okay? Now, ang sabi natin, if you file a petition for certiorari, it will not stop the running of the period. So, makapagpa-execute sila pending appeal kung meron silang, kung merong monetary award. So, what do? You ask for an injunction. Same rule. Pag hindi mo nakuha ang TRO, magpapa-execute yan. Now, from the Court of Appeals, talo pa rin, you go to the Supreme Court, Rule 45, petition for review on certiorari, but only on pure questions of law. And finally, Article 129. Ano naman ito? Power pa rin ito ng regional director. But remember, according to the Supreme Court, di naman nagbabago yan, the three elements must be present, all of them. The claim must arise from employer-employee relationship. The employee is no longer employed and does not seek reinstatement kasi if he's seeking reinstatement, kay arbiter yan. The aggregate amount of the claim does not exceed 5,000. Kasi pag nag-exceed ng 5,000, kay labor arbiter yan. Okay? Lahat yan dapat present. Pag nawala ang isa, the regional director has no jurisdiction anymore. Now, we consider also Republic Act 10361 na kahit na more than 5,000, the arbiter does not acquire jurisdiction because of Section 37. Okay? Maliwanag. Now, where do you appeal? According to the court, following Article 129, the appeal from the decision of the regional director is not to the Secretary of Labor, but to the NLRC. You appeal to the NLRC within a period of 5 calendar days. Oh, so nasa NLRC ka na. Kaya walang masyado nag-a-appeal na dito eh. Pag nasa NLRC ka na, you follow the procedure at the NLRC. You file an MR. Pag natalo ka, 10 calendar days. O, mas mahaba pa yung MR kaysa dun sa appeal. Ano? And then, from NLRC, Rule 65, dahil nag-MR ka, you have to exhaust all administrative remedies. 60 calendar days. Ay dahil may monetary award, gusto mo, wag mo na ma-execute dahil may certiorari ka pa. You ask for a TRO. Pag hindi ka binigyan, magpapa-execute yan, pending appeal, and then go to the Supreme Court, Rule 45 on pure questions of law. Okay? Naliwanag. At ihabol ko lang yung isang desisyon ng Korte Suprema written by Justice Lopez tungkol naman ito doon sa Magna Carta of Women. Ano? Kasi dito sa Magna Carta of Women na ito, may tinatawag na Magna Carta Lib under Republic Act 9710. That if the woman has been employed at least 6 months in the 12-month period prior to surgery, because of a gynecological problem, meron siyang 10 days leave. Whether dito sa private sector or sa government. Now, itong isang empleyado ng HRET ay nag-file ng Magna Carta Leave under Republic Act 9710. Inaprubahan naman. Gynecological problem resulting into surgery. Pagkatapos, 2 months leave yan with pay. Hindi pa natatapos yung 2 months, she was able to get a certification that she was already fit to work. Then, pumunta siya sa HRET, employer niya, para magsabi na gusto ko na pong magtrabaho uli. Pero sabi ng HRET, wag muna. Kasi, nakalib ka naman, may bayad ka naman eh. Tapos pag nagtrabaho ka, ay baka ma-double compensation ka, nakalib ka with pay eh. So, umapila siya sa Civil Service Commission at pinagbigyan siya ng Civil Service Commission. But it was challenged by the HRET, House of Representatives Electoral Tribunal. O kahit sa government ito, applicable yan sa private sector. Ang sabi ng Korte Suprema through Justice Mario Lopez, the specially benefit should be liberally interpreted to support the female employee so as to give her further means to afford her needs. May it be gynecological, physical, or psychological for a holistic recuperation. Why? The recovery period may be a trying time that she needs much assistance and compassion to regain her overall wellness. Kasi minsan, alam niyo yung mga sanay sa trabaho, pag matagal ka nakalib, bagamat binabayaran ka, you are at home, naiinip ka. Nagkakaroon ng cabin fatigue minsan. Nagkakaroon ng cabin fever. Ano? Na yung mental health niya hindi gumaganda. At wala naman daw sa Republic Act 9710 at yung CSC, Civil Service Memorandum Circular number 25, wala naman daw prohibition na pagka naka-special leave ka, hindi ka pwedeng bumalik nang hindi mo natatapos yung special leave. So in that case, we have to interpret that in favor of the worker. So yun ang sinasabi natin na paulit-ulit na sinasabi ni Justice Lopez na your answer should be towards truth and justice.